Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the what the hell did we call this again?
We are the Pokerus Weekly
Pokerus
podcast episode slash uh thing.
2
Yeah.
draft review.
Season 3, episode 2, draft review. So this past weekend we all it's the big draft day. We all had our draft. Everybody's got their team set. So in order to not make this episode too long, we're just gonna hop right into it. We're gonna critique everybody's teams. We'll start off with the con or two, the bad things, one or two, and then we'll say the pros that team excels at, one or two, and we'll give some overall insights in the team. So we'll start with the Poking Ponyards here at the Pokey Ponyards. I don't know what the hell that was. They're at the top by coached by Slickoff. Zacchaeus, what do you see, man? What do you see here at
So just
what
at a
weakness
glance,
do you
I'm
see here?
noticing Stealth Rocks is the only hazard they have, and getting rid of those hazards is entirely Sandslash's job. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the C.
Yeah, uh, does Reggie still get rocks? That
He
would be
does.
he does. Okay, yeah. So Reggie still is gonna be really his main rock setter. You could leave that to Infernape. I was gonna say, I guess I'll piggyback off of that. I think the lack of an actual rock setter, um, in the long game could be, obviously Stealth Rocks isn't everything, but the fact that your opponent likely won't have to plan around that or won't have to get punished for it, you'll just really have to predict a lot of their switch-ins and not have them get punished for it. So, what about pros? What do you see here then that makes this team look scary then?
So, I mean, kind of to just like contradict myself, the Espeon having the magic bounce is super strong. I had Xatu last season and it put in a lot of work. Oh, actually, Cacturne gets spikes. I just remembered, so maybe I lied a little. But either way, few and far between. It seems like it has some really good offensive pressure, but a lot of that is actually based around the fighting type. Could be problematic, like Infernape and Heracross, or where most of his damage is going to come from.
Yeah, double fighting types. So any type of whoever does end up fighting a Gliscor could be a little bit problematic. Gliscor could essentially beat the Infernape, Heracross, and Jolteon. So he could be 3 of his 4 top mons. I'm not sure if Gliscor's in his division or not, but that could be something to keep an eye on if that ever happens. Yeah, I think as far as strengths, so I like the Ambipom. He actually took it the same round that I was gonna go, and I think that's a very strong one. Plus, picking up the Slowbro and the Spiritomb, he could have a sneaky little. Okay, sorry. So we're coming back in. I don't know exactly where I'll be cutting in, but let me just return to talking about the Trick Room team. So he could actually have a sneaky good Trick Room team with the Slowbro, Spiritomb, Registeel core there. I could see a couple games, especially in doubles. I kid you not, where he brings
Wigglytuff too.
yeah, the Wigglytuff as well. Like he literally could bring 4 B tiers in a doubles match and have great value with it. Spiritomb appreciates it, and the Registeel appreciates it. And obviously, Ambipom almost is a must in doubles. It's insanely good in that aspect. So, yeah, I think he has great variety there in that middle chunk. Seems a little slow. I guess that's one of the things I could have put as one of the cons, but it kind of helps the pros then, I guess, if he wants to run the Trick Room. So we'll go on to the mini medkit, Zakai. So let's you start first and critique your own team, man.
This is
kind
awkward.
of glaring? What do you feel you have to cover up the most? I guess you don't have to say what you. I'll tell you your weakness. I have to like scan your team. But what do you feel, man? I really got to make sure this or this doesn't happen. Then.
So, actually, my round 1 opponent has Sun. I have some countermeasures for it, but all those grass and fire special attackers cause me some issues.
Yeah, I would say one that kind of hurts you is 3 of your 4 top mons do not like the move Earthquake. So that's going to be pretty interesting if anybody can kind of feel free to put that on Wom and spam it. And kind of maybe force the Gyarados to have to come out if Gyarados is brought. Like, I would say it's going to be a tough combination to bring Tyranitar, Jirachi, and Blaziken in any matchup because you're just asking for your opponent to spam Earthquake at that point. Luckily, Rotom could be a safe haven for that. Like the Levitate obviously being great. Mesprit as well.
Too.
Yeah, so You do have a couple that they'll have to guess a little bit, but as far as where the power of this team comes from, they just don't like Earthquake. So anybody running Scarfed with something that has Earthquake could end up being a problem. I'll go with your strengths first. You have the Gyarados, which could sweep. Like, it's just straight up. It literally could just be Moxie, Dragon Dance, Moxie Gyarados. The doubles team as well, obviously, is looking nasty. The Blaziken, we had to move it up a tier because it is just going to be that good in doubles. It's insanely great. And the Gyarados itself is still great in doubles, even without Moxie, because you can just give it Intimidate. We all know how good Intimidate is in doubles. So I think you could have a good little core in doubles. I'm curious as the Kabutops and Frostlass. The Kabutops, because you do have the what's his name, the little prankster user, and you could kind of prankster Rain Dance and get some stuff going on there. You know, you could prankster Sunny Day that same turn that Blaziken with it. Like, you technically have a weather user without revealing what weather set you're going for, and I feel that's why Volbeat and like Sableye, that's why I prefer those over Murkrow, because they get weather. They can actually set weather, and since it's prankster, you're guaranteed to get it off. So yeah, that was kind of long-winded. Sorry, but what do you think? What do you feel your biggest strength is with this team then?
So I was running some Calaxon Blaziken for singles, and dude, the thing is a monster. Like, yeah.
And that's Blaze.
Inside
That's Blaze
or without
Blaziken,
sun.
right?
Yes.
Obviously.
Blaze
yeah.
Blaziken is a monster. Like, it gets outsped really easily, and like, its coverage is trash, but it just hits like a truck. I'm really liking it.
So you're telling me 120 attack is actually good? Is that what you're saying?
With its moveset, yes.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
the Flare Blitz specifically, especially if I'm in that Blaze range, bro.
Yeah, I agree there. It is very good.
I do like the versatility I have with Gyarados and Tyranitar. They both can be ran offensively or defensively, making my like lack of proper walls not that big of an issue because they can both function as one. Yeah, I'm just gonna say Nidoking, Absol, Kabutops, and Frostlass all feel a little out of place, but we'll see how it goes.
Hey, this first week, I'm super pumped for this first week, and I want to see how everybody runs their team. So we'll go on over here to yours truly, only Dawn fans. I'll start with my critique. You and I were talking a little bit about this off air. Man, Eni, I'll tell you this: a water. Luckily, I have Starmie, and I don't have to face a Starmie. But Amon likes Starmie or something that outspeeds my team. I know there's really not fast waters in this format, but waters give my team a hard time. They beat the Mamoswine, they beat the Breloom. Gengar's already fragile as it is, don't even breathe on him. Rotom Heat, Nidoqueen doesn't like it. So a lot of things that could, most waters obviously they all get Ice Beam as well, so they can still beat the Breloom. My team does not appreciate waters. That kind of is where I kind of lack, unfortunately, in having a true... That was the difference between me getting Rotom Heat and Rotom Mow. I was really like close to it, because like that would suck to bring out... They have a water type, and I actually can't counter it with Rotom Heat, because if they predict, they could just knock out my answer to them. That's always the tricky thing with Rotom Heat. I went to Rotom Heat because I needed a good fire type as far as in the B tier that I trusted. So... I mean, it is what it is, so I'll have to be real careful with that. For some reason, Breloom gets knocked out. Like I said, I'm airing my weaknesses out here for everybody to, my Breloom gets knocked out for some reason. It's not like he's a Pokemon to begin with anyways. I could have a very hard time beating other water types. So I will say that that's a weakness of mine. Just a little behind the curtain thing. I played Darien yesterday, and I had my Rotom Heat out, and he switched into Kingdra, and I had used Trick and tricked a Choice Scarf onto that Kingdra, and that thing Hydro Pump. By the time I finally took that thing out, he had taken out my Rotom Heat, he had taken out Mamoswine, and I think he had taken out Breloom because I kept trying to spore him and he kept waking up right away. So just there you go. Like it was a faster water type now because he was scarfed. He had like crippled my Starmie because he was faster than Starmie now, and even Hydro Pumps to Starmie were doing 40% or something like that. So yeah, it was not a good time. Came back and won that, but yeah, it was not a good time. So there we go. Just airing it all out there for everybody to know now, man. What do you see, Zacchaeus?
I see one of the issues I had last season, bro. You rely so hard on hard switches. Like, you have 0 mons that have U-turn and only 2 that get Volt Switch.
Yeah, it's the Rotom Heat and the Fortress are my only 2 that are going to be switching. Now, I guess my only argument to that is, in a draft league, I think you see a lot of hard switches. I think because you don't need the kind of general pivoting you would in a ladder, because obviously you don't really know what you're gonna face in a ladder. Whereas in a draft league, you kind of you can kind of narrow down what's gonna come out, so you can kind of, from what I've seen the first 2 seasons, there's a lot of games where people don't even U-turn a Volt Switch. Like, trying to think back of when, like, it's very rare people do it. I only like Volt Switch on the Fortress because it's almost like teleport, right? It's a slow swap. You can kind of get something in safely. That's the only reason I ever run a Volt Switch on Fortress. You know, and I need that, like, 5% damage usually does. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I think as far as the strength that I like is the Mamoswine and the Gengar apply instant pressure to my opponent. My opponent will either have to risk it and likely sack something, or they risk trying to predict me do something and me getting behind a substitute. We all know, like, you do not want Gengar behind a substitute. You do not want Mamoswine behind a substitute. Hell, you might not even want to start the Starmie, might not even, because of all the coverage that they get. You really don't want them to sub up behind something and your check that you're going to switch in to fight them be fragile. So it essentially, what I mean by that is you kind of threaten a lot of the stuff that could come in and counter it. Like, I remember last season you had the Mamoswine. I remember when you and I at the beginning of the season we're gonna have our for fun match. That Mamoswine, even though I had Infernape, I had things that could beat it one-on-one. I was essentially having to sack something. That's what, even though you never brought it. But the way I was looking at it is, I'm gonna have to sack this in order to get Infernape in safely to finally threaten the Mamoswine. Like, you kind of force your opponent almost to have to sack something at that point just by sending them out. And hopefully I can display that more of what I mean. I know that probably sounds confusing, but hopefully I can display that a little bit more.
No, I get what you mean, and you could say the same thing about Breloom and Starmie too. Especially with the limited grass types in this format, you're almost forcing somebody to come prepared with, like, a Lumberry to eat the sleep, or, like, I don't know. Like,
have to keep switching into something that is already
S and 3A picks are monsters, and in general, the lower half of your team is defensive enough to.
Yeah, it was not by accident. We're bulky, man. We're thick with all the C's. So, yeah, it's just kind of pressure. It's a little bit different than my first 2 seasons. I wanted to go a little bit more pressure on there. All 3 seasons, aside from the back half of this draft, where the top end is, I've tried to just use different mons. I mean, you know, this is not who I'm stuck with, but this is who I'm gonna be using for the next month and possibly playoffs. Like, I want to try different things, so I kept trying to grab a whole bunch of different mons, to be honest. So we'll go down to the Magic Carpets then. And so what cons do you see here then, Stocy? The only con I can think of is I can't think of a con. That's the bad news for me. His team is well-rounded, man.
So if I've got to pick one, and I think it's a pretty poor choice, like, half of the team is weak to Earthquake, but a good fighting type goes pretty far against him. Blissey and Empoleon are probably going to be his, like, premier defensive choices. Like, Donphan, you can kind of count that in, but normally it runs, like, more of an attack, like, tank type build. So, like, for actually answering defensive threats, he has Blissey and Empoleon, and they're both weak to fighting. Gardevoir can, like, kind of make up for that, but its physical defense stat is so low. I think, like, in my case, a good Blaziken, like, close combat is gonna do a pretty good number on his team.
Yeah, I guess multiple cons, like, so 3 out of his 5 obviously don't like Ice Beam. Ice Beam can beat them pretty well. 3 out of his 5 top S, and when I say top tiers, I mean S and A's. He's obviously he's got 4 A's, which I'll lump in real quick as a pro. But as far as the con, you know, 3 of his 4 don't like Ice type as well, so you're probably unless he brings Salamence, Rotom Wash, and Blissey, having an Ice Beam should do some work. Another thing is, 4 out of his top 5 lose to a mon like Rotom Wash. The bad news for everybody else is he has Rotom Wash, so that doesn't matter. You know, it's gonna be how you said. I think Earthquake does some work to the lower half of his team. So I don't know. Is there anything that has Ice Beam? That's a good Ice Beam Earthquake. It's like Mamoswine does work against his team, but I have Mamoswine. So
I have Nidoking.
Yeah, Nidoking Scarf maybe against, I don't know. Like, that's the thing. Like, you're gonna have to run some funky sets. His opponents are gonna have to run some funky sets. I guess I'll put that in pros. Like, he's the way he has his team set up, man. His opponent really has to, like, it's gonna have to come up with something. It's gonna be hard to just play him straight up. His team is so well diverse and can counter a lot of things as well. So I think that's why I'm put his pros. It's not really more of picking something from his team because it is so balanced. I think it's more of like, you kind of make your opponent, it's almost like he's saying, like, here, he's telling the opponent, like, here, beat me. Like, the game already starts off with the opponent having to solve a puzzle. In other words, like, it's almost like he already just starts the game off with momentum. No matter what, he's already kind of in the driver's seat before the game even starts. Like, your opponent's gonna have to do something because his team is kind of like, you're gonna have to find a way to beat him, however that is. But that's the pro I have for him. So we'll hop down to that boy Ricky. I'll start here then. So as far as Ricky, I have started constructing a team, you know, for him. I haven't really finished that, Ricky. I'm still working on you, man. I'm still working on you. So one of the things I've noticed with Ricky is there's no Stealth Rocks. Ricky has no, aside from maybe Mew, I guess, if he wants to run that with the support of Mew. He could do it with Heatran. Yeah, he could do it with Heatran, but Heatran, I guess against my team, I don't fear it as much because I have so many things that threaten the Heatran. I couldn't imagine Heatran staying in for one turn to Stealth Rock. I don't even think, honestly, I better not say anything, but I'll say this. I'm not planning on the Heatran coming. If it does come, I mean, I you know, more than one thing is going to have Earthquake. Like, you just got to worry about the Earthquake. So, you know, that's kind of the downside is there's no hazards on anything. Like, there's nothing that's going to punish your opponent for switching in. There's nothing. I don't even see, you don't want to switch into an Alakazam, I guess. There's nothing to, it's not like he has the full power as well. It's not like how I was saying with like my Mamoswine or whatever, where it's like, okay, if you do switch to a better matchup, like that thing is still, even whatever you have to counter the Mamoswine, even if it's a fighting type, right? It's not going to want to take an Earthquake. Like, it's going to cripple that fighting type, right? We don't have bulky fighting types in this format. So, like, aside from the Alakazam, I don't really see anything. The problem is this is what I say. I'll just peel behind the curtain. I'm going to try and make everything better. Ricky needs that stealth. You need something to punish your opponent for switching in, because as soon as they see the Manaphy, you can just switch into whatever you are going to have to counter the Manaphy, because the Manaphy still needs to turn a setup with Tailglow to truly reach its potential in singles this is. So I think just the lack of having something to scare your opponent or take some hazards, I think would have paired great with the Manaphy. So that's kind of just the con I have for it.
Breaking focus sashes too are really important. It doesn't matter if you can one-shot me if I can always live at 1 HP.
Yeah, I think the pros on here, Volbeat. Volbeat's very good, as you
Bro, dude, I'm so upset he took the Volbeat from me.
So Volbeat's very good. Pachirisu, I remember last season Ricky drafted the Pachirisu. You know, he said it was his favorite Pokemon. Man, that thing does some work in double battles. That thing is so annoying. I am not happy to be playing that thing again. I get to play it twice. Not excited for that. So I think the reason I lumped that in as a pro is Ricky's really good at knowing how to use that Pachirisu, when to Nuzzle, when to Super Fang, when, you know, just the variety of stupid things that it does. And then Manaphy. Like, this is literally a mon that is uber in the ladder tier, and everybody knows this. When you're gonna play the Pachirisus Cups, point A, B, and C start at how to stop Manaphy from Tailglowing, right? Are you gonna run somebody that can come in and encore it right after? Are you gonna run something, hell, you can run something that disables it right at, like, you know, once it Tailglows and you know it gets a Surf's off, you might have to sack something and then you come in and disable the Surf. Whatever, like, it's the same thing. You gotta have the answer for the Manaphy. Like, there's literally never a reason for Ricky not to bring the Manaphy. And so you have to always be ready for the tail glow. It is obviously it's so broken that's what caused it to go to Uber. And in a format where you might only have one electric or one grass type, you're probably not gonna knock it out in one hit to begin with, and it has the ability at that point to sweep. So just Manaphy, the rest of the team's pretty decent. The top half is good as far as Manaphy, Mew, Alakazam, and Heatran, but just Manaphy, that's all you have to say. Like it's that good. I was really annoyed he took you one spot in front of me, but it is what it is, Ricky.
So one con I have, he has 0 priority making anything that like sets up with the Dragon Dance. Quite a problem.
Yeah, that is true.
As for pros, like even though his team is overall pretty squishy, right? Like we'll say more than half of them can't function as a wall. The defensive core of like Heatran and Gastrodon is so good, I think it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, that's a good point. Those two, especially even in a doubles battle, those two is actually really good.
They cover each other so well.
Yeah, especially since all the water attacks get drawn into Gastrodon, no matter what the water move was. So yeah, and that actually is a good little pairing there.
Surf with Gastrodon or Surf with Parasect is really scary in doubles too. You have Volbeat to set up the sun or the rain for you.
Yeah, because again, it's another prankster user that gets access to both. So yeah, good points there. We'll go over to the Pikachu's now. So my cons with this team, he's got 3 dark types. Okay, he's 4 if you count the Murkrow, but Murkrow ain't fighting. He's got too many dark types, and a couple of them were drafted back to back. I don't understand, but that's the way Juan is. He tends to just draft real. He's only got 2 A tiers as well. Now Juan does have some interesting strategies and some fun things that he pulls off. Like he's one of those you literally don't know. He's the box of chocolates, you know what I mean? Like you don't know what the hell he's gonna get. But yeah, as far as team building, there's a lot to critique here. I think even he'll tell you. So he's also doesn't like the Stealth Rock, right? Rodent Frost doesn't like it. Typhlosion doesn't like it. Masquerain doesn't even want to look at him. Zapdos doesn't like it. The Murkrow doesn't like it. There's a lot. The Stealth Rocks is a must. He has no spinner as far as I'm looking at. He's gonna have to defog everything, so you don't want to defog when you have Masquerain, who essentially you already know is gonna set up Sticky Web. So why would you want to defog at that point? So the synergy isn't really there. Those are the kind of the cons I have on that. I went in hard. It's because Juan's my friend, so I can go hard on that. he's my in real life friend. So when you come over this weekend, Juan, you can get mad at me with that. You can come over to my house.
You can have your one free punch.
Yeah.
No, so his S and both of his A's are so afraid of ice. He doesn't really have a good answer to ice either. Like Sharpedo and Crawdaunt, I mean, they're okay with it. They're not. They don't like it. Rotom Frost. I don't know. Like something with a good Ice Shard or Ice Beam can destroy the quote-unquote better mons of the team. Umbreon is going to be insane glue though. Again, another mon that I'm so freaking upset I couldn't get again.
Yeah. He also does have a glaring weakness to Fairy, but that's not as eccentric since, there's really not much Fairy in this metagame. So
that's true.
Yeah, I think something like Starmie, for example, would do a lot of work to his team that does get access to both the Dazzling Gleam and Ice Beam. Anything that ends in Beam, does real good against him. Maybe Hyper Beam as well. But I think pros. Masquerain's a great pickup. I think even like in doubles, you can help with speed control. You can Sticky Web it. People don't tend to run Defog or Rapid Spin in doubles, so you'll get the double Intimidate off. You can still get Sticky Web, control speed from that point on. Masquerain is really, really good. Man, I'm still so mad I can never pick up Masquerain in any of my draft leagues. This will be Juan's second time with the Masquerain because I believe he had it in season 1 as well. I know he liked it a lot. Sharpedo as well with the speed boost is really good. And
Sharpedo and Crawdaunt are insane offensive threats.
Murkrow, Prankster Murkrow, so Gilbert, for those the Mighty Psyducks they didn't join us this season, but they were a champion last season. He did a lot of work with that Murkrow, so Juan will have some big shoes to follow if he wants to use that correctly as well. And then the other thing, it's almost like with Ricky, S tier, just say Garchomp, man. I mean, everybody knows that was going to be the first thing taken, rightly so. There's a variety of ways to use him, but he always is a threat, especially in a draft league where you might not always have the things to counter him right away, or if the one thing you have to counter him dies, you might just be screwed. So just Garchomp. That's all I got to say. Like, aside from everything else, but Garchomp is the exclamation point.
For sure. I gotta tie Umbreon in with that too. He's like, he did legit get like an A tier pick in one of those Bs. So
yeah, he basically got like a borderline A tier. So it's almost, I guess I kind of did squeeze in with him almost getting 3, but he got it in the B tier. Yeah, Umbreon's one of the. I mean, he picked it early. What, second round I think, or third? Like he jumped quick for that.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that pays off. Bold move, Cotton. So we got the Madrid Mankeys with Axa. Hope I said it right this time. No, I did. I'll go first then. As far as the cons, and a lot of these teams, guys, even though we inputted all these, I'm literally like scanning, looking at it like for the first time. So, Corphish, I gotta shout out to Corphish. I'm interested to see what the Corphish is gonna do. I don't know. Hell, if I play him, he might get me with it because I don't know what the hell the Corphish is there to do. All right, maybe he was craving some shrimp or something. I have no idea. But the same thing. So Weavile is a little more on the fragile side, so it can't. The Metagross and the Raikou don't like Earthquake, and the Weaviles, even though it would be a ground type that that could hurt with Earthquake, Weavile doesn't want to switch in to scare the ground type off because Weavile at that point is likely going to lose half his health. And then your opponent's likely just going to switch right out. So same thing. I feel like now that I'm looking at it, that needs to be one of my big bulletin shout outs for next season is like grab a great Earthquake user, because I feel like a lot of these teams, just the way the draft pulls out, like a lot of the mons end up being weak to ground. But he's got a real solid team. I really like, so I'm trying to stretch as far as picking cons. I mean, like I said, I just got to put Corphish in there, and I don't know. I like his team. I like the Dusknoir or Uxie con. Like Dusknoir is more tanky, but Uxie's more wallish. But they both still are like fat. Quag is still fat as well. Crobat I think is a very underrated pick. Gramble was a great pick. Like I don't know. I guess I'm going to pros not at this point, but yeah, that's all I can mention. I think it is a well-rounded team. I don't think it's as well-rounded as Stosie's, but I think this is another one that, I mean, he covered his bases on almost every type, so I can't really throw too much out there as far as cons. What can you think of?
So for cons, I gotta say his offensive pressure is missing. Snorlax, like, he can hit hard, but he's so slow. You have to set up Trick Room and to like really be effective. Raikou, I got the Raikou last season, and after about week 2, I actually wanted to get rid of it. I think it's a great mon, but it gets Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Scald, and Shadow Ball, and that's it. That's it.
Yeah, limited move pool for sure.
I just don't know if the offensive pressure, I don't think he has enough of it. He definitely has onto the pros. He has the bulkiness in his team to like wear down his opponents and maybe not even need that offensive pressure. But in the event something gets a boost anywhere, he's gonna have a really hard time dispatching that threat.
Yeah, there's a good point there. So we'll hop down to the Ferocious Jumpluffs. Because as far as cons, let me check. I don't know. I like this. I like the fact that he brought the sun though. I do. I put that as a pros, obviously. So it's a good draft. I'll say that. I think he joined us late too, huh? I think he did, right? Yeah, I think didn't he join us late? I'm not sure. I can't remember. But as far, I guess you go
he
first.
Was with us.
He was. With
I
us
remember he first picked the grass, and I was all surprised.
Yeah, that's right. I guess you go first.
So, Picking a negative for this team is hard. And it's hard because, like, quite honestly, I think the pool of Pokemon is insanely good. I think the issue he's going to run into is trying to fit everything he wants on one team. If he wants to bring a Sun team, he has to bring 3 Bs, which means he's missing out on an A. That's not, like, really an issue. But I don't know. I feel like it's something. I guess, like,
I guess the
if
only
he wants...
con. Oh, sorry to jump over you there. I just kind of thought about what you're saying. The Azumarill doesn't really go with the Torkoal, right? Like, if you do bring Torkoal, you're almost not going to bring the Azumarill, just because even with huge power, you don't want to dwindle down the effectiveness of an Aqua Jet or a Waterfall. So, I'll tell you this, Azumarill, geez, Azumarill can, like, destroy my team. But the Azumarill, you kind of conflicts, I guess, as far as having that. You can't, if you're gonna bring Azumarill, kind of how you're saying, you really can't bring like 3 of your beats because you're really not gonna. You're likely not gonna bring Charizard or Venusaur if Torkoal doesn't come. So if your opponent is smart enough, they can kind of telegraph that and see, okay, let me not prep for those 3, that kind of bulk. So I think that's the. Like, I'm having a hard time. I'm picking at straws here. Like, I'm really having a hard time. It's a very well-rounded team as well.
Yeah, and actually, I'm just gonna go to pros because cons is kind of hard. Other than, like, he is pretty weak to some specific types. Those types are... It's not really relevant enough to point out.
Yeah, Rocks does do some damage against him. He will need to keep that but I believe, does the Torkoal get Rapid Spin?
Torkoal
I know
does
the
get
Hitmontop does. Yeah, so they both do. So even then, it kind of neutralizes that for a little bit. Obviously, I know the Hitmontop does. So
and he has Togekiss and Mantine.
Yeah,
for
if he ever
defog.
wants to defog and have them take the 25, but defog. So that's up to him as well. So yeah, very. Who would be his rock setter if he wanted to go that route?
It has to be Torkoal. Torkoal's the only mon on his team that gets it.
Okay, so yeah, so very interesting there. So you might have to lead Sun immediately. He go Torkoal's other ability, but yeah. So what is it? White Smoke. I don't even know what his other ability is. So
Yeah.
what are the pros then? I mean, I'll go for Sun. I mean, it's an excellent Sun team. It's one of the few weather teams, if not the only actual weather team we have right now that you can tell is just a blatant in your face. Hey, here's this weather team. Deal with it. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to watch his games. The Cress as well can really, like, his double team is awesome. Like, even singles is gonna be great, but even his doubles team, he'll actually get more value from this team in doubles. Hitmontop is a great doubles user. Having the Sun out and then possibly Chlorophyll Venusaur or having Charizard do his thing, solar powered. Cress setting up. Cress obviously is one of the best support mons in the entire league. And Houndoom itself, like, we were literally on the verge of putting Houndoom to B tier, so he almost grabbed a B tier as his C tier, and it might be in the Sun boosted. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like a very scary team.
It is. I have some plans for it. We'll see if it works. I'm playing him week 1.
Oh, do you? Oh man, that's good. Dude, that's gonna be fun to watch. That's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's where, like, all this. I've researched this team quite extensively already.
Hey, you got a plan for it. All right, moving down to the executives, coached by Jordan. So, I guess, what do you got here for the cons?
So, fun fact, I was testing out one of my doubles teams for this week, and I actually, on the ladder, got matched up with Jordan and his draft team. So it's looking good, by the way, the doubles.
Oh, he was practicing with his draft team as well?
Yeah, at the same time I was.
Hey, there you go.
I think it's pretty good. Overall, he's lacking in, like, specially offensive pressure. A good physical wall or 2 could really kind of, like, stump his team.
Yeah, he's very physical oriented. Now the Entei, you still could run it. Obviously, you could run Eruption Entei as well, which is like, very viable.
You could run Entei.
Probably want the Sacred Fire. Yeah, you could. I would still. I think that's the Dragonite. I believe I would almost always play it as physical. I guess as far as cons for me, he doesn't have much. I mean, I guess I really didn't notice the physical thing until you pointed it out. But, um, ice can hit him a little bit. Even just the water type itself doesn't have to be ice. It can be a water type that has ice beam.
Cradily has Storm Drain, dude.
Oh, dude, yeah. The Cradily is one as a C tier that I was surprised he's never been drafted. This is literally the first time Cradely's ever been drafted, I think. It might have been drafted last season. I don't think it ever got brought. So, I don't know. Hearing about the type of player that Jordan is and going with it, I think he'll make it really well. I go to pros. The Hippowdon, he really could run a wear you down team. Like, he could wear down those walls then, how you're saying, if they bring a physical wall. He's got a lot of mons that don't mind the sand being up. A lot of mons that would prefer the sand be up. It can make them bulkier, right? It makes Skarmy really bulky now. It makes Skarmy essentially have 105 special defense. Cradily at that point will be even more bulky. Flygon, it could turn him into a bulky kind of sweeper. If it could actually allow the Flygon to get, he gets the Dragon Dance, right? I can't remember this format if he gets the Dragon Dance or not. But even then, it could still allow Flygon to be a bulky attacker. So, yeah, just and the other thing too, he's got a lot of even though his team is a lot more like ground and can work in the sandstorm, his team does have a lot of good coverage though. Like his team, even the mons that like Porygon Z, he's got mons that would normally have good coverage. Dragonite, so they can hit a lot. So he can. I'm very interested. He's one of the few players actually out of all of us. Maybe this might be a con. He doesn't even have a water. Oh, he has a Cloyster. I guess he has. I usually don't think of Cloyster. I don't know, for some reason I always think Cloyster is an ice type. It's just an ice type. So I guess so never mind that. He has the Cloyster, who we all know the Shell Smash is why you fear it. So what do you think is the pros then?
I think you pretty much went over it all. His team is really versatile. I like that the Cradily covers his biggest weakness, which is water, like water/ice. He has good rapid spin spikes. Cloyster can just be run as a Shell Smash. Like Sweeper, Dragonite, Entei are both insane. Like he just overall has like good walls. It is like a really good balanced team in like 12 Pokemon.
Yeah, like to only have 12 picks and of them being different tiers. So even though it might not sound like much, like if we say, oh, it's a good balanced team, like I don't know, for me anyways, that is kind of saying a lot, because that's hard to do. Because not only are you limited to just 12 out of 493 in this format, like it's also, you can't pick something somebody else has picked, and you also have tiers to pick from. So as we said, that's part of the challenge and why we like it. So Mighty Muroktai. So I'm not going to be too harsh on these cons, because we had a player that couldn't make the draft and ended up having to drop out, so he joined in completely after the draft, literally got the bottom of the barrel. So on this one, I'm not really going to... I'll let you do that, Zacchaeus, because I know you're evil-spirited to begin with. Okay. But I'm going to jump straight to the pros on this, man. For getting a team that literally was just nothing but the rejects and the unwanted. Man, this dude, if he pulls it off right, will have a really cool Trick Room team. This team, dude, it gets me excited. Like, I almost want to use it. I'm not even gonna lie, right? I'm not like Hariyama loves it. Obviously the Bronzong, but the fact that Camerupt with Choice Specs Eruption in a Trick Room can like just KO almost anything, especially if Ninetale switches in and then it's Sun boosted at that point. In this format, you could even be a water type. There is not much that's gonna survive that religiously. Like it's the Slowking, like the Trick Room itself, Porygon 2 now turns into kind of a faster tank if you wanted to go that way. I guess for my criticism, the C tiers, I don't know. I feel there were some better C tiers out there that maybe he could have grabbed at the time. I guess, like I said, I'm not going to be too rough on it, because, I understand he came in late. Luckily, thankful that he joined so that we have our 12 players. But I'm just going to jump straight to the pros on it. Like I said, this team... I'll tell you this, and hopefully he's watching it, there should never be a reason for you not to run Trick Room, whether you're in singles or doubles. No matter who runs it, either the Bronzong or the Slowking, Porygon 2, like, one of those three should always be coming in That's what she said. I was trying to make that better, but they just had to. And just using Trick Room, like, I don't know. I can't like kind of stop. Like, I don't know. I guess it's the fact that like that's what was left. It was literally like a team ready for him to build, and I think that was so kind of lucky or so cool. Even Honchkrow, if it gets out, Sword Stance like in a Trick Room team will likely still be going first. You want a Sword Stance, so you want to take a Honchkrow going first. I got my dogs barking again. A Honchkrow moving first after Sword Stance, so at 250 base attack. Yeah, you know that's not that's tough.
Actually, the team looks really well-rounded, like, overall. Hazards, I have said it for most of the players, because hazard control is just such a hard thing to manage in a draft league. He's really going to have issues, but I think that's it. Like, it's actually looking pretty solid.
Galloping Garchomps is next. So this is another team that I'm already prepping for right now, week 1. It's a lot of fun to have to do it. He's got another one that's got a pretty well-rounded team. Another one that I got to give credit for because he unfortunately had some business that came up come draft day and missed the entire draft. But I feel like even with the things he was able to pick up, he has a real solid team. So again, I'm not going to be trying to be too critical of it because I understand the circumstances. So just right off the top, I guess if I had to go really nitpicky, I think having both C tiers electric type is very odd. I guess it's not like he has a rain team or anything like that. So I guess kind of both of them being electric type, you know, I'm not too sure about that. Plus the fact that you're inviting your opponent again to Earthquake you because your Lucario doesn't like it. Tentacruel, that's one way to get around the Tentacruel, right? Is the Earthquake, and then it Regirock is strong enough that it probably doesn't care, but it is super effective to it, and then obviously it beats both of your electric types, so, you know, there's that. But I would say for him also, you know, he wasn't quite as the Mighty Maroctai as far as scraping the bottom of the barrel, but kind of coming in late and getting what was left over at the time. Same thing. I think it's a good average team, and I don't mean saying that like, yeah, exactly. No, but I don't mean saying that like facetious or anything, but like, considering where he grabbed everybody, I give him credit. I feel like he kind of made the team work.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good overall. It'll be exciting to see the Shaman put in work. And
yeah, super excited. We got a new Shaman format. I think everybody's excited for that one. So,
in general, I just
sorry, go ahead.
think he has a pretty good Fire Grass Water Core too.
Yeah, gotta love the triangle, man. The trifecta there, the Triforce. So, and last up, we got Darien, another returning player from last season. Again, running the Toledo Typhlosions. So, let's see. I did scrim against him yesterday. Let me look at what did I plan for him yesterday. I guess for me, Mamoswine obviously does work against all his top 4 mons. I guess that was one of the major things that made it easier for me, I guess. But I really like the way he drafted this team though, so I can't complain too much on it. But same thing, he does lose to, I guess it's hard for me to say, right? I have the Mamoswine, so Mamoswine is obviously a must. If I were to play him, it beats literally the top half of his team. So, you know, but yeah, I don't know. I can't really nitpick too much. I mean, he's got one of the best leads in the game in Aerodactyl. Yeah, I really don't know. I feel like this is the other one too. I think Stozy probably drafted the best out of all of us, but I'd put this one up there, man, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I don't really have too many critiques. I actually like all the C tiers. Maybe the Bs. I guess I'm not scared of any of the Bs. I don't know. You might feel different about that. I guess, like, I don't know. And I feel the top part, like...
Sorry, go ahead.
No. Yeah, like, I guess that's the only weakness I could see. Maybe that's why I don't put him on the draft level of Stozy. I don't know what Bs. I kind of... Maybe if he had, like, Umbreon in there... Like, I don't really feel... I don't know, maybe I need to see, like, Blastoise in action. We don't really see it. Kingdra is a good one as well. I just feel without Rain, I don't know how good it's going to be. Or without a Scarf. I'd actually given the advice of running a Scarf Kingdra. It also helps that he hit 7 out of 8 hydro pumps against me. Like, I thought that thing was supposed to be, what, 80 accuracy or something like that? I don't know. I guess it's like 99. I have no idea. I guess that's what the sniper ability does. You know, being sarcastic. But I don't know. I guess I'll just kind of lump it in there with the pros, man. It's a very good draft. It's con, right? It's a little more like a sandwich, right? You kind of got both sides, top and bottom sides, and the middle's kind of just like, you know. But hey, I mean, I don't know. I like his draft. I think he drafted very well.
I think he drafted very well. He's one of my other week 1 opponents, or he is my other week 1 opponent. So I have been studying his team. The top half of his team is pretty weak on the special side. Something like a Nidoking can actually tear through all of them, minus like Aerodactyl.
Yeah, he actually, saying that, my Nidoqueen, who is a little bit bulkier than the Nidoking, the Nidoqueen actually did. When him and I played, that Nidoqueen actually swept the rest of his team. When I finally got done with the damn Kingdra tearing a hole through my team, I think my Nidoqueen beat like his last 4 Mons. So, yeah, I mean, and you and I basically got the inverted of that. I feel like yours, you sent me a message earlier, I kind of looked at it and I laughed. Like, you and I have somewhat of an inverted team, so it's still similar but different, but you know, it's just more inverted. And so you have the Nidoqueen, I have the Nidoking, we have the different Rotom types. I mean, you were spot on with that, but sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. So yeah, like you were saying, with the Nidoking.
Yeah, Nidoking tears through his team. He has really good answers for water types in like Lapras with Water Absorb and Kingdra being ×4 resistant to it. Glaceon and Lapras both get Freeze Dry, so they can hit stuff like Kingdra or Gyarados for ×4, super effective damage. But I still, water still just does a pretty big chunk to his team, like with the Gliscor, Aerodactyl, Arcanine specifically. I really like the Sceptile pickup. I don't think we saw that last season, or if we did, it just was not used, but I think it's really cool. It has an insane speed tier for this kind of format, and even though its move pool is like extremely limited, it can still be very effective. Cons outside of... So like Gliscor, Magnezone, and Scizor are his only pivots. But I don't think that matters too much because they function extremely well as pivots. Being able to be like relatively tanky on the physical and special side, and you turn out into something cool. I don't know, I think overall it's pretty good. I have something I've finagled up for him. I'm excited to see if it works.
Sorry, what was that real quick? Sorry. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I have something planned for him. I'm excited to see how it works.
Yeah, no, that one will definitely be, like I said, I really do feel his team pretty solid. I think he kind of learned from drafting in our second season, his first one, and he took some of that into this one and built pretty good core. I mean, he does have the Gliscor. I mean, Aerodactyl obviously is one of the best rocks users in the game, right? Best leads, so very good team. So, all right, I feel we dragged this one out long enough, so I want to thank anybody that's made it this far, and hopefully you know, whether you agree or disagree with our critiques. Like I said, a lot of them, I'm literally seeing y'all's teams for the first time, like as far as actually studying them, just to kind of, you know, so I was just trying to figure out things at the last second and trying to point it out. These are just kind of at a glance looking at them, not really studying it. There's a couple teams that I did, either because I got to play you guys or because I have already played you as far as scrimmages. But yeah, so I want to wish everybody the best of luck this season, and we'll have, I'll have a video coming up about the we're actually gonna have a postseason draft going on this season. And I'll actually have a video, kind of little tutorial explaining more about that. It's nothing too complicated. And anybody
Hopefully
else?
really exciting though.
No, I think it's definitely gonna shake up some stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. And everybody else, just make sure you contact your opponent, get with them, post it in the matchmaking. We've seen basically we have over half the games already scheduled so far. So anybody that was with us last season, you know, there were a couple people that, geez, man, I always had to hunt them down and be like, hey, have you talked to your opponent yet? Have you, like, I feel hopefully this season everybody's on top of it and is already getting with their opponent. So please get with your opponent, like I said, and I'll post it again probably tomorrow when I post this video. Like, the match times that you're gonna get with your opponent needs to be posted before Thursday. You don't even have to give an exact time. You could just say, hey, we're gonna play sometime Friday evening or sometime Saturday in the morning. Like, it doesn't have to be specific. Just let me know that, you know, let us know that you've already contacted that person and y'all are agreeing to play at a certain time. That all that stuff needs to be done by Thursday. So please don't wait until Saturday. And then we had it last season. I'm just gonna peel back the curtain again. We had it last season where I had asked a player because they hadn't posted, like, hey, have you gotten with your opponent yet? And he's like, oh yeah, but he hasn't answered me. And this was on a Saturday, man. And he sends me a screenshot, and he had barely sent that dude a message like earlier that morning on a Saturday morning. Like, that was the first time they had even spoke. And I was like, dude, like, you know, man, come on. Like, it's one simple thing. Like, you know, that's all we kind of ask of players, is just give the respect, kind of, you know. Oh, Zacchaeus, luckily I have Zacchaeus helping me out this season, but, you know, we do a lot of work behind the scenes, even though these videos are crappy. But, you know, getting everything ready and making sure it's there, and having all the spreadsheets ready and all these things, it is a couple, you know, it is a couple hours of our week that we're doing it. So we just ask that all players just show up for your games. You know, you don't even have to prep. If you're not into it as much as we are and you don't want to prep for, you know, all this time, kind of how we do, that's fine. We understand that. But, you know, just have the you know, just kind of give it the respect to your opponent as well, because your opponent may have been scheming for an hour or so, or 2 hours, just to play you, and to not show up or not give it the proper time. It's you know, we could have brought in another player that it, you know, that it did mean something for them. So just that's all we ask, is just kind of the respect of that.
Yeah, and good luck with your games, everybody. I know I've been talking with a couple of you. We've been throwing some theory together, so hopefully it goes well. And yeah, I'm still super excited about this season. I know a couple of you are. I hope everybody is, but
yeah, I feel like there's a little bit more interaction this season. I feel like I guess that does happen with us having a new season, a lot of new players joining, a lot of people. There's always that excitement starting the season though. But I like the group of people we have this season. It seems people are interacting, and so it just keeps it going. And you know, that was the other thing. Like, when I was recruiting some of you guys, like I was posting, it just, hopefully you're around other players that enjoy battling and playing Pokemon as much as you do, you know. So but yeah, that's all I have for this video, and we hope you guys have enough luck, not so much luck that you're hitting 7 out of 8 Hydro Pumps, but enough luck to you know, not miss a Will-O-Wisp. I'm looking at you, Juan. So, but all right, guys, we will talk to you later. Zacchaeus, you got any last words for anybody?
No, thanks everybody. Have a good night.
All right, guys, talk to you later.